Hi, I'm Rey Ramsey, and I'm CEO of One Economy Corporation, which is a nonprofit dedicated to using broadband with a purpose. I'm also an ambassador for IIA, and tonight I'm speaking at the National Press Club for a Georgetown event to talk about the importance of technology and how it can change lives, improve lives, and make our world a better place. There is a nexus between the quality of a person's life and the quality of the information that they have. It's just that simple. So you think about that single mom who's pregnant and doesn't realize the importance of prenatal care. Her life would be better if she had that care. Or you think about that student that doesn't understand the importance of the standardized test and why she should be prepared for it. With that better information, she might go on to go to college. And the analogies go on and on about what the individual would do with quality information. And then you say to yourself, well, why do we have a barrier to that? Why do we have a barrier to that? You know, there are so many studies now where we know that education will be better if we bring technology into the school. We know that healthcare improves when there is management of a disease, and you need to manage that disease in your home. We know this. And you can go down the list of fact after fact that we know the nexus between information and quality of life. Why aren't we doing it? One of the biggest reasons why we don't do it, and we're living this out right now, even though it's a new administration, and that is that we are all struggling with the same issue, and that is a frayed social contract. So the challenge for us is how do we come back together to figure out what that social contract ought to be? What should the relationship be between the individual and government, the individual and the service sector, the independent sector, and the individual with business? And we've got to get that right, because if we don't get it right, we're going to continue to debate and spend and argue, and the basic things that we know that should happen in the 21st century won't happen. So here we have an opportunity to do something extraordinary in the history of mankind. The information gap between the haves and the have-nots. No tool in the history of mankind has been able to overcome the knowledge information gap like the internet. And yet, if we are not intentional about how we spend that stimulus money and what we do with broadband to solve that problem, we're going to look up and we're going to have the bridge to nowhere, and we're going to have fiber and wireless and everything run into locations, and what result are we going to get from that? So we're going to spend $7 billion to do what? And so I stood there before everyone as I stand before you today and say that we have to be intentional about what outcomes we want. And so if we know that there is what I call a connected learning environment. What do I mean by that? We learn in the school, yes. We learn at home, very important. And we learn in our communities. Broadband has the ability to move information and knowledge between all three of those locations. What else do we need to do? We need to make sure that there's human capital that will help people be literate with using technology. Two very, very basic things. If at the end of the day we look up and we haven't done that, particularly for the poor, we will have failed. The other thing that happened, which I'm deeply concerned about, and I saw somebody recently in the White House and I told her, we have an opportunity with broadband to put poor people first. And she said, what does that mean? And I said, here's what it means. It means if we aren't intentional, we're going to build an alternative structure for the poor. And what I mean by that is people are lining up to say, let's get the money and let's feed it into social service agencies, and let's make sure they're connected. And I have argued with people, what we need to do is give everybody what I want. I want the connection in my home. It's just that simple. Why would we not focus on the home when we know the greatest outcomes are going to be in the home? Pew and others have studied this. If we can bring technology into the home, we get better educational outcomes, you have the ability to manage your disease from home, and you get to do so many other things like e-commerce and other things like that. You cannot relegate the poor to being second class in the 21st century. We've got to make sure, the only way we're going to dig out of this economy is we make sure we have a 21st century economy. We have to increase productivity, and we have to focus on innovation. And if we're going to inspire a generation to do that, we darn well better put it in the place of their culture and the place of their learning, which is the home. And if we embrace technology and what it can mean in the classroom, in the home, and in the community, we will get through this moment, and it will be a powerful recovery. Not just a jobless recovery, which we might be headed to, but a real recovery, where everybody has the opportunity to participate. And so when we think about the stimulus and we think about what's going on in this country, we know that we have to get that back. It's not going to be easy. You know, and for a lot of people, for too many people in this country, their road, their path from where they are to where they need to be, it's underground. It's like walking through a long, dark tunnel. And if we do our jobs right and get a little bit lucky, they're no longer going to be walking through a long, dark tunnel. They're going to see a light at the end of that tunnel, and they're going to run toward the light. And if we do our jobs, we think of ourselves as providing that light. Broadband technology can be one of those lights, along with a helping hand. So, as Frost would say, it's probably going to be the road less traveled, but it will make all of the difference. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.